Ladies and gentlemen, hearty greetings to everyone present, and thank you to the organisers for giving me the privilege of addressing you today. Let me say from the get-go that these are unsettling times. The ocean is acidifying at the fastest rate in history. It's unequivocal that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, land, and the ocean, and the recent release of the IPCC Climate Change 2021 report has caused the UN Secretary-General to describe the report's findings as a red alert for humanity. From acidification to deoxygenation and warming, from the escalating levels of marine pollution to steadily rising levels of the ocean itself, from harmful fisheries practices to habitat destruction, the state of the ocean's health is scientifically measurable as being in decline. One of the greatest tasks of our times is to stop that decline and restore the good health of the ocean. For as I say to myself and to others several times a day, the planet cannot be healthy without a healthy ocean. But let me also say that after 4 years of service as the Special Envoy for the Ocean, it's abundantly clear to me that we can heal much of the harm that has been done. We can correct our errant ways in the use of the ocean's resources. We can stop polluting our coastal zones and start treating marine ecosystems with the full respect their place in the planetary biosphere demands. We can go to the UNFCCC COP in Glasgow this November and demonstrate the political commitment necessary to get us to net zero by 2050. And we can move the climate finance needle decisively in the direction of the sustainable blue economy, away from the ridiculously low level it's been sitting at for far too long now. We have much work to do, much to mitigate, much adaptation to invest in, and acting on the moral logic of intergenerational justice, we should delay no further. Ladies and gentlemen, at the heart of the red alert are anthropogenic greenhouse gases and their relationship to the health of the ocean. As you well know, CO2 absorbed by the ocean reacts with seawater, causing changes in its carbonate chemistry in the processes that we call ocean acidification. With the ocean being the planet's largest carbon sink, absorbing around 23% of annual CO2 emissions generated by human activity, we see again the imperative of safeguarding the ocean's health. While the ocean's absorption of CO2 has been central to the mitigation of the impacts of climate change, it has its limits. We expect the ocean to continue taking up CO2 as atmospheric concentrations increase, but the efficiency of that uptake is projected to decline as a result of the decreasing buffering capacity of surface waters. The reduction in buffering capacity will in turn lead to greater rates of ocean acidification per unit of CO2 taken up. At this point, let us reiterate that the IPCC has stated with certainty that ocean acidification is occurring due to anthropogenic CO2 emissions. Once again, the importance of UNFCCC's COP26 in Glasgow this November asserts itself. We know that ocean acidification endangers coral reefs and other key species at the base of the marine food chain. We know it has negative effects on marine ecosystem services, including fisheries and aquaculture, and coastal protection, transportation and tourism. So let us agree that it would be dangerously negligent for the world leaders not to give close attention to ocean acidification's impacts on marine life, the rate of its progress, and its potential consequences for the nutrition and livelihoods of billions of people. Ladies and gentlemen, taking all of these red alert points into consideration, in the wake of the IPCC Climate Change 2021 report, I wrote to the President of COP26, the Right Honourable Alok Sharma, urging him to lead the negotiation and adoption of a UNFCCC decision text calling for stronger action by parties in recognizing the integral linkages between the ocean and climate change. Noting that IOC-UNESCO is the designated repository agency for SDG 14.3, the UN member states' commitment to minimize and address the impacts of ocean acidification, the letter to President Sharma attached correspondence between myself and the Executive Secretary of IOC-UNESCO. This correspondence included the Executive Secretary's observation that, and I quote, "The fast rate of ocean acidification, the invisible component of the climate change, is directly related to anthropogenic carbon emissions. It is occurring at a speed that exceeds ocean ecosystems' capacities to adapt. And because of that, it is a relevant subject for UNFCCC. End of quote. The letter also attached a 4-page summary on the imminent perils of ocean acidification, compiled from the advice received by me from relevant scientific authorities, including GOA-ON, that I had approached. My thanks to all those concerned. In brief, the letter emphasized to President Sharma the high expectations that the ocean community has for the Glasgow COP, in particular the urgent need for ambitious GHG emission reductions. The letter calls for the climate finance needle and associated investments to move decisively in the direction of the sustainable ocean economy, and for confirmation that henceforth all work streams and constituted bodies under the UNFCCC Convention will integrate ocean action into their work, with outcomes of their actions presented in relevant reports, and the inclusion of the ocean in the global stocktake, and the substantive chair being called upon to continue with the holding of the ocean climate change dialogue on a regular basis. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot conclude my remarks without mention of the UN Ocean Conference to be held in Lisbon in the middle of next year. By virtue of SDG 14.3, ocean acidification will be one of the focuses of the conferences, including consideration of progress and identifying ways and means to support implementation of SDG 14.3. I thus give you all today a heads up to prepare accordingly. In the meantime, led by IOC-UNESCO, we've begun work on the UN Decade of Ocean Science to give us the science we need for the ocean we want. It cannot be said enough that scientific research and evidence must be the basis of effective national and international policy to take us to the net zero world needed for human security on this planet. In pursuit of reliable science, we look to the Global Ocean Acidification Observing Network, known as GO-ON, for global leadership on ocean acidification research and for continuing facilitation of coordination of efforts, knowledge sharing, and capacity building. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all those involved in the work of GO-ON for this leadership, and I'm delighted to see the emergence of its UN Decade endorsed program, Ocean Acidification Research for Sustainability, also called OARS. I wish everyone involved in the OARS program great success and will follow your progress with great interest. I thank you for your kind attention to my words today. Goodbye.